So the first few messages I got up on this article releasing, what does this do for T-Mobile? What does this do for Deutsche Telekom? Those were immediate messages that I got from several different people, and they all asked the same thing. What does this do for Deutsche Telekom? What does this do for T-Mobile USA? So we have another great article here from Fierce Wireless. I will leave it in the description down below. Deutsche Telekom aims for 50% T-Mobile ownership before 2024. So Deutsche Telekom is trying to accelerate the purchase of them gaining majority ownership, which would be 50% or above. So I assume in this case, they recently made some tower sales. They got a few billion for it. So I think T-Mobile is going to Deutsche Telekom, they're going to probably try to purchase enough to get to like 52, 53% ownership. And then at that point, they would be considered majority owner of the company. So what does this do for either company? For Deutsche Telekom, T-Mobile USA is their biggest asset by a long shot. And where T-Mobile is headed in the future in terms of scale, size, and the company that they're trying to become, it's going to make Deutsche Telekom just that much more successful in its business dealings. T-Mobile is going to, be a big profit maker for them here in the United States. So now what does this do for T-Mobile here in the United States? It really doesn't do much for them. T-Mobile USA, makes more money. They really don't have to rely on Deutsche Telekom for anything. They are just moving forward with their process, with their planning, and they're making progress. Now, one thing that I discussed in a previous video, and I don't know if you guys got that sense. I was telling you guys some internal stuff, but T-Mobile is capital strapped. They want to spend more, but they really can't, right? The little $200 million increases on the CapEx is not what I'm referencing. I'm talking about a $5 billion increase on capital, to scale. That's what T-Mobile is looking at now. They want to scale faster than even previously because they can sense the success even in the areas that they're barely getting into. The port ratios are insane. So now they want to scale even faster because that's where they can see the numbers are positive and that's where the success is going. So they're trying to chase that. And why not? If you're going to be successful, that's where you should be focusing your energy. And I totally agree with that. That was the whole purpose of the merger, was for them to gain the scale to compete in areas where they previously couldn't compete against AT&T and Verizon. If I'm looking at it objectively and I'm being realistic, T-Mobile competed in the Metro Core as a standalone company. They had a decent competitive LTE product. It wasn't the best, but if you look at their quarterlies during LTE, they had growth. Did they have a network at scale? No. I realized that myself, that they weren't competing at scale. But in the metro urban cores, they had a competitive product. It wasn't the best, like I said, but it was competitive. And for many that don't travel far or don't travel much, I should say, for most of them, it was a good enough network. So now as the combined company, taking in all the Sprint assets, the spectrum, the tower sites, T-Mobile's, they're trying to scale now. They're trying to grow like a flower from the ground. They're trying to really, really scale. And the only positive takeaway that I can see where Deutsche Telekom may step in and help T-Mobile, they may give them a $2 to $3 billion cash infusion for furthering the capital structure to further grow the business. Now, that's just what I can see or what I think may happen, but T-Mobile USA is going to try to do that on their own. They're going to try to sell assets. They're going to try to sell other things to gain more capital. They're going to try to make the company leaner. They may not operate certain retail space that they previously operated, and it's all to gain capital. And if you look at their weak net income, and it is weak, we got to call a spade, they can't really grow the CapEx to a significant amount. They can't come out and say, okay, for the capital year in 2023, we're going to raise our CapEx to 16 billion. T-Mobile is not financially in a position to do that. That just doesn't happen, right? So they got to sell certain assets that in return can give them the capital to put towards the network in a big way. Dish could potentially help with that, right? The band 26 800 megahertz purchase, they could give T-Mobile 3.5 billion to put towards scaling, and that's what they're going to need. They're playing from a starting point of being behind. Verizon and AT&T have been spending the capital that they've been spending throughout the entire LTE era, 17, 16, 18 billion. T-Mobile's not going to be able to catch the scale by spending less, and then even, potentially lesser next year per the guidance. That just can't happen. So in order for T-Mobile to gain the scale that they want to get to fully be able to compete, they're going to have to gain capital. And that's what they're looking at now. Selling assets, Sprint wireline. Who knows? I'm told everything's on the table. That's what I'm told internally. Everything's on the table to be sold, negotiated, whatever the case may be, for future gains. So stay tuned to the channel. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section down below. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe to the channel. Follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Life. See you in the next one. Peace.